Big adventurers, welcome to another exciting video from Slovakia. Today we're gonna hike to Gimeš Castle ruins near Nitra and also record some amazing drone footage. Let's get started! The hike to Gimeš Castle starts near the small lake near the village of Jelenec, which is about 13 kilometers away from the city of Nitra. From the beginning there are these annoying flies always flying around your face. This hike is not very long, takes only about 45 minutes from the beginning to the top, with around 300 meters of elevation. There are more possibilities for hiking here. You can even hike to Nitra through the hills in about 5 hours. And here we can see a sign on a tree that says the entrance to this area is prohibited because it's in economical rent in October. And I think the reason is because there are lots of chestnut trees and so people come to pick them during October, so they don't want anybody to come here. So here we got up to the first viewpoint and I was surprised how forested this area is, especially the flat area down there in the valley. It usually is deforested because of easier access and easier agricultural management. The Gimeš Castle. The ruins of a three-part castle are spread out over a craggy ledge in the Tribech mountain range located near the village of Jelenec. The elevated position allows control of the ancient road from Nitra to the mining cities. Andras of Hont Pasami family had the original late Romanesque castle erected shortly after the local region was sacked by Tatars, 1241-42. His children established the illustrious Forgach dynasty, who were to own the castle until it was destroyed in the 19th century. Therefore, the Gimeš castle played an important role not only during the 13th century when defenses were built for the devastated country, but also later as a center of expanded dominion and part of a line of fortresses to ward off any attack by the Turks. Of what had been the oldest, late Romanesque part of the castle, only the ruins of the two dominating towers remain, along with the remnants of the palace and bulwarks and the central courtyard. A barbican, along with other buildings, was added when the castle was expanded during the 14th and 15th centuries. More recent Renaissance fortifications failed to prevent the castle from being ravaged by the Turks, and Gimeš was later rebuilt in the Baroque style during the 18th century. As you can see, there is a great view from these ruins, but you have to be careful when walking on it, because these ruins are really old and might not be as stable. The new St. Ignaz Church, constructed in the part of the castle that existed, was consecrated and became a site of annual pilgrimages. When the castle was rebuilt, a merry tradition called the shovel dance was born, where visitors were honored by being hit with a shovel. The castle was abandoned after a fire at the beginning of the 19th century. So usually fly a drone where there are no people or possibility of people passing to avoid any troubles, but this castle ruins with these views was just worth the risk. So I hope you enjoyed the drone footage. And down there in the valley you can see the lake Jelenec, where we started the hike from, with the hills of Zobor Massive in the background. And on this side you can see a little bit more deforestation for animal agriculture, and you can see the Tribech massive range. It's really interesting to think that a long time ago all these ruins were actually homes for people who actually live in these rooms here. It's also interesting how some of the walls completely fell apart, but some are still standing, and judging by the height of some of these walls, it seems like this castle was pretty huge. And it's insane to me how people complain about the environmental issues like climate change and deforestation, but they don't link the animal agriculture to it, which is the number one contributor to both of them. Especially deforestation, over 90% is cleared up to make a place for animal grazing or to grow their feed crops. So whenever I'm complaining too much how the society is so bad and we're facing with climate change and people are still eating animals, the environment is being destroyed, there is a big pollution and all people think about is just money and materialistic things. Put it always into perspective how people had it much worse in the past, where we're living, for example, in this fortress here. They must have been scared for their life all the time when there are armies and wars. So right now we're actually living in the best time in the history. We have a food security. We don't have to be worried about war or where gonna be our next food coming from. With the invention of internet, we don't have to work in boring 9-to-5 job, but we can travel around the world. So we should definitely be grateful that we don't live in times like this, of these fortresses and wars. We should definitely strive towards a better society, especially the animal agriculture, the climate change, environmental destruction, and also try to shut down the boring 9-to-5 jobs which create many addictions in people. Alright, I think we explored the Gimes castle quite good. We spent there quite lots of time. So now it's time to go back around another way. There should also be a viewpoint on the way, so hopefully we can fly our drone there. So apart from Jelenec Lake, you can also get up to Gimes castle from a village called Kostoljani pod Tribečom, which is in another valley on the other side of the hill. Alright, and here we got to the viewpoint called Studeni Hrad, or Cold Castle, which is located about 5 minutes from the main path to Jelenec Lake. So from the point where we're standing, we didn't realize how big these cliffs are or how far they go, but now when we're going farther with the drone, we see they are pretty big, pretty high, even good for rock climbing, depending on the type of the rock. definitely recommend to visit this area. It's not far from Nitra city and there is so much forest. You have the lake, even though there is fishermen, so it's not really good for swimming. But you can visit this castle and there is more options for hiking here. You can even do a multiple day hike from Zobor with wild camping and then continue further until Tribech hills. From there you're not far from the bigger hills of Slovakia and you're getting closer to Tatras mountains.
Why do you wanna end? Was it real or just pretend? Tell me, why do you wanna end? Was he really just a friend? No sign of you at all. Just pictures on these walls, reminding me of how you threw away all that we've gone through. Was it all just a game to you? 'Cause I'm dying to know. Why do you wanna end? Was it real or just pretend? Tell me, why do you wanna end? Was he really just a friend? 'Cause it's plain in my head, every word that you said, I ain't worked it out yet. So why do you wanna end? Was it real or just pretend?
Alright, we finished flying the drone and I was actually quite impressed how forested this area is, especially when you compare it to western countries like UK or Netherlands. They have only 10% of area forested, so money can't buy you a good environment.
Even more, my heart is breaking up inside. Can't believe I love to die. Guess it's out of my control.
Alright guys, I hope you enjoy watching this hike to Gimes Castle. Next we're gonna travel through Romania and hike in the Carpathian Mountains. Thanks guys for watching. Hope you stay tuned for more videos. And as always, stay healthy,